It's amazing how quickly a planned PR moment can turn into a complete mess. Prince Harry probably thought his trip to Angola would be a simple tribute to Princess Diana's legacy, show some empathy. Walk across a cleared minefield, take a few symbolic photos, and win public favor. But instead of applause, he's facing serious backlash. And not just from online critics, even Angelina Jolie has subtly thrown shade. And let's be honest, when someone like Angelina backs out of something for moral reasons, people notice. Here's where it all gets complicated. Harry visited Angola with the Halo Trust, the landmine clearing charity his mother famously supported. The imagery was strong. Harry walking a similar path as Diana once did, projecting continuity and compassion. But there's a deeper story here, one that's resurfacing and hitting him hard. Back in 2015, Angelina Jolie publicly cut ties with that same organization. And not because she lost interest. She left due to serious ethical concerns. According to reports, some trustees were reportedly paying themselves £500 a day during an internal review. That's right, over £180,000 paid out like it was nothing. Jolie wasn't okay with it. No drama, no fanfare, just walked away because she couldn't support where the money was going. Now fast forward to Prince Harry. Years later, aligning himself with the same organization, embracing children, giving hopeful speeches, all to echo Diana's work. But now the public is starting to ask real questions. If Angelina saw major issues and left, why is Harry now supporting them so openly? Is he unaware of the past? Is this just another attempt to clean up his image? Or does he simply not care? Skepticism is real, especially when you factor in the timing. See, Harry's visit didn't happen randomly. Came not long after a legal order forced him to release financial records in a lawsuit against the Daily Mail. While his legal team tried to explain money sent to witnesses, he was out in Angola, playing the noble humanitarian. Convenient timing, right? People aren't buying the coincidence. They're asking if the trip was staged to distract from courtroom headlines. If that was the plan, it didn't work. Instead of praise, the public started digging. Jolie's resignation resurfaced, and now folks are connecting the dots. It's not just this one incident either. Harry has had other charity controversies in the past, questionable financial management, partnerships that raise eyebrows. There's always some drama. It seems like every time he tries to reset his public image, things fall apart even faster. The Angola visit, meant to be a safe, positive move, has instead pulled in Hollywood-level drama and reopened ethical questions. What makes it even more uncomfortable is the contrast. Angelina Jolie left over financial concerns. Harry walked in trying to rebuild his image. That comparison is loud and clear. One walked away from controversy, the other walked right into it. People trust her judgment a whole lot more than his right now. Harry's ongoing attempts to walk in his mother's footsteps just don't land the same anymore. It's like he's stuck trying to recreate her magic, but the public isn't convinced. The trip wasn't just a tribute, it was an attempt to relive Diana's legacy, down to the location and cause, but Diana wasn't surrounded by doubt when she did it. Harry is, and every time he tries to do something meaningful, these old ghosts come back. The public doesn't just see photos anymore. They ask questions. Why didn't he do his homework? I support a group that has such a public stain on its record. Jolie's exit was covered by major outlets. It wasn't a hidden scandal. She left because she was disturbed, not confused, not mildly concerned, but outright uncomfortable with the ethics. If someone like her saw enough to walk away, wouldn't most people take a second look? But Harry didn't. He stood in front of the world next to the same logo, the same group, smiling for the cameras. That doesn't just seem naive. It seems like a conscious choice. Some critics believe he knows exactly what he's doing, that he's betting most people won't dig deeper, that a few photos and feel-good speeches will be enough to rebuild his public image. But this isn't the early 2000s anymore. The internet is sharp, fast, and deeply skeptical. People don't just nod politely, they investigate, they remember, they follow the money. And speaking of money, that's always the catch. Halo Trust tried to justify those hefty trustee payments by saying it was part of an internal audit. But that doesn't clear up the bad optics, especially not when a major Hollywood humanitarian called it out and walked away. That history doesn't just disappear because someone else showed up with a camera crew. You can't simply wash away bad optics with a photo op. When two trustees reportedly split over £180,000 for what's called a review, it doesn't sound like oversight, it sounds like a payday. Especially when the same people who were involved in the spending were the ones reviewing it. That's like writing your own report card and giving yourself straight A's. Unsurprisingly, they found no fault with themselves. Of course, they justified it, but the takeaway is clear: Angelina Jolie left over that. Prince Harry entered. One stepped back because of ethics. The other stepped in, seemingly for publicity. And what makes this worse is that it's not some isolated misstep. This is happening while Harry faces financial scrutiny. A court has ordered him to explain why funds were sent to potential witnesses in a major lawsuit. That should be the headline. But instead, we've got him smiling in Angola, set against sun-soaked minefields, looking like he's doing a luxury spread disguised as a humanitarian mission. The timing is too precise not to raise eyebrows. Some are calling this a classic deflection toss out a feel-good story to shift the narrative. Only it didn't shift anything. If anything, it pulled more focus onto what people were already uneasy about. Suddenly, side-by-side comparisons are popping up online. Jolie's resignation versus Harry's polished visuals. Financial red flags versus legal depositions. Credibility versus branding. And honestly, it doesn't look good, especially when the one celebrity whose endorsement could have given this charity a clean bill of trust walked away years ago. But this story goes deeper than Harry or Angelina. It's about how fame is used and sometimes misused under the mask of activism. Because when someone like Harry continues to appear in humanitarian roles, it leaves behind a string of unanswered questions and shady links. The public starts seeing a pattern. And once patterns emerge, they're hard to ignore. This isn't his first stumble. From confusion over how funds are managed in the Invictus Games to unclear goals within his Archwell Foundation, there's a recurring lack of clarity. And it's that vagueness, that fog, that makes people uncomfortable. These efforts wear the skin of noble work, but peel back the surface, and the framework underneath often looks weak. Harry's public persona hasn't helped either. Once seen as the rebellious royal with a good heart, he now comes off as someone locked in a cycle of media repair. He advocates mental health and emotional honesty, then sues multiple tabloids. He begs for privacy, then inks massive deals with Netflix and Spotify. That contradiction chips away at trust fast. So when he's seen in Angola, aligning with a charity already under a cloud, it only reinforces the narrative people are already building that this wasn't about landmines, or children, or even Diana. It was about reclaiming the spotlight. It's trying to bottle nostalgia and use it to cleanse a complicated present. But it backfired, because people aren't passive viewers anymore. They're savvy, suspicious, and armed with receipts. They ask why Angelina, a globally respected humanitarian with decades of credibility, chose to part ways with this organization, while Harry is now using it as a stage for his own redemption arc. And the answers people are drawing don't exactly paint him in a flattering light. There's a sting here too, one that traces all the way back to his mother. Diana's activism wasn't curated. When she walked through those same minefields, she didn't bring along a press entourage and lighting crew. Her work was unfiltered, daring, and deeply sincere. Harry's attempt to replicate her work without addressing the controversy, tied to the very group he's promoting, misses the essence of what made her so beloved. Some argue his intentions were good. That may be true, but good intentions fall short when paired with poor decisions. When you're a global public figure, every step becomes symbolic. Every speech, every photo, every hand you shake, it all sends a message. And whether he realized it or not, the message he delivered this time was muddled. Instead of spotlighting a cause, he spotlighted the questions. Angelina Jolie, on the other hand, chose a different route: quiet accountability. She didn't spin her exit into a media moment. She didn't grandstand. She saw something wrong, and she removed herself from it. That type of quiet conviction speaks louder than any staged PR trip. And, ironically, it's the very integrity Harry seems to be chasing, yet still hasn't caught. In the end, this isn't about who wore the Halo Trust vest better. No, it's about who upheld their values when it really mattered. And in that comparison, one name clearly outshines the other.